welcome to episode 17 of Two Girls, a Guy, and a TARDIS. I'm Nicole.
I'm Joanna.
I'm John. And
I'm Sarah.
I was going to say, we have a very special guest who you've heard before, Sarah.
Welcome back, Sarah.
And you may be wondering why we have a guest again. Well, because there was actually some pretty big news the last 2 weeks. The announcement of the 12th Doctor. So we wanted somebody back that's a Doctor Who fan that, we could talk about it with and, see what everyone thinks. So, we have nothing else for you other than that, and maybe we're going to discuss an episode later. So, I guess we can just go right into that. Nicole, you want to start it off?
Start it off. Well, I was happy with the announcement because I was hoping for an older Doctor again, and I didn't think I was going to get one. I was like, "There's no way."
Well, he can't keep getting younger. In four more generations, he'd be a toddler.
But I thought they'd keep him like 20s, early 30s. Like I'm like, they're never going to go for an older Doctor.
Maybe
again.
some skinny jeans.
Which was when we were texting before the announcement, and you were like, "Yeah, Peter Capaldi's leading the," and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not putting too much stock in all the rumors."
By the way, let me apologize to you and Joanna. Izzy had gotten us all sick that weekend, so I missed the live announcement, and let's just say the house was miserable, so my text messages to you guys may have been kind of short and terse, but that was kind of why.
I can imagine.
Because we were trying to fight for who was going to fall asleep and watch Izzy, and who was going to stay up and watch Izzy.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think you missed that much in missing the actual announcement.
I don't think so.
It was like 25 minutes of
talk.
Filler.
Yeah.
Well, I love that they're like explaining the show. I'm like, if you're tuning in,
you probably know.
Yeah, you don't need an explanation on this is the Doctor. And
well, I thought maybe Capaldi just had LeBron James' agent.
Yeah.
Remember LeBron James had a whole hour-long press conference to basically give the city of Cleveland the middle finger?
Mm-hmm.
What an...
So when they're like, there's going to be an hour-long special about... I'm like, oh, God.
It was 30 minutes instead of an hour long. And they showed,
in that case.
And they showed Nicole's favorite episode of Doctor Who beforehand, The End of Time.
Yeah, I didn't have it on yet, and then I
thought Rings of Akita was her favorite one.
I got a text saying, The End of Time is on. I was like, oh, well then I'll put that right on.
And is that why you asked me why they showed The End of Time for Tennant or something? I'm like, wait, what? What was...
So they were showing The End of Time for no apparent reason. It had nothing to do with...
Well, it was the end of Matt Smith's time. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I figure they were going for. End of his... but, yeah, I was like, oh, well, then I'm definitely going to put it on right away.
I think I fell asleep and I woke up and it was like 2:05. I'm like, son of a... And one of you two had texted me already. I'm like, yeah, I know.
I think I was out to brunch with my sister and my brother-in-law and my mom because it was my mom's birthday the next
Joanna starts jumping up and down. Woohoo!
Their show was fine. I was like in the restaurant and my brother-in-law and Monica were asking me, is there an announcement yet? Is there an announcement yet? I kept on refreshing my Twitter feed just to make sure, just so I wouldn't miss it. And I didn't, so which is kind of nice.
I called my mom in the room, like, right before. I was like, you don't have to watch
Were you too giddy like schoolgirls?
No, but, well, I was...
Sitting Indian style on the couch, jumping up and down during the announcement.
What I love, though, is that when we all talk about it, it's like this was such an important day. We all know exactly where we were when the next Doctor was announced.
Sick.
But yes, but the original point was, yes, I was happy. And it's only the second time that I actually knew the Doctor before being cast as the Doctor. I was like, I know him. Okay.
Where do you know him from?
He was
I watched.
Torchwood.
Yeah.
He was also in
Fires of Pompeii.
Yes.
But I mean, those are little parts. Those aren't, Torchwood he had a decent sized part.
Yeah, he had a big part.
But that was the Torchwood where I stopped watching because anything after the second season is just kind of a freight train hitting a passenger train wreck of episodes. But like the first 4 are really good, and then it just kind of you're like, what are you writing? What is this?
I liked Children of Earth more than even some of the earlier Torchwood stuff, but
most of the Torchwood fans would disagree. Yes. I enjoyed the second series the best, personally. So we know where you were. Joanna.
Yeah,
what was your? I mean, were you happy, surprised?
I was happy. And
finally, there won't be a romance in the any kind of puppy love in the TARDIS
thank
again.
God.
How many? Wait, Sarah, did you just cheer for that too?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I didn't actually cheer for it, but I would.
You know what? It's nice not having like a younger Doctor.
Like it worked. The romance thing worked okay with me when it was Rose and Tennant. I didn't mind it so much.
I didn't love that either, but
like I said, I didn't mind it so much.
Yeah.
So you like the idea?
You know what I do, because I'm not happy. I wasn't like sad. I'm like, obviously, because to me it's more important having like a good Doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
To make his part magical and whimsical, because every Doctor has his own magical, whimsical stamp on it.
Agreed.
So I'm really looking forward to it.
Agreed.
And I did say before I wanted someone completely different from Matt Smith, and I went, I do not think Peter Capaldi is going to play it the same way as Matt Smith.
No, and I like the nod he gave when he walked out to the first Doctor when he held his jacket. Sarah, how about you? What do you think?
I am absolutely thrilled. I yelled when the announcement came over the TV. I was typing in caps, which I never do.
I was quite offended by that. No, I'm kidding. My Twitter feed was destroyed. No.
Oh gosh, my Twitter feed was exploded.
Well, hey, did you?
Yeah.
Have you? I mean, other than Torchwood and the previous Doctor Who episode, did you see him in anything else, or? Did you know of him before?
I have seen 40-something,
Yeah, I saw that.
which I love.
I didn't realize he was in that. But I've never seen it either.
I've seen bits of the thick of it, but I don't know it real well.
Well,
I saw the whole series.
I will say, if you go on YouTube, they have 3 best of, what was his name? Something Tucker.
Malcolm
Tucker.
Okay.
And I know he can't say any of that stuff on Doctor Who, but if he did, I think most invasion forces would just turn and leave. Because
awesome.
The threats that he would make and the way he said stuff and the fire. And the funny thing is, prior to the announcement, my wife's cousin in England texted or sent me a message on Facebook saying, I have an inside source, he says it's this guy. And he's usually right. I'm like, how do you... I'm never going to ask. I'm like, okay, well, he goes, yeah, unfortunately he makes a lot of boring, drawn-out speeches. That's kind of like his thing. I'm like, really? I don't know. See, you never know. I mean, I didn't think Tennant would do well, and Tennant did fine, and, you never know. And then I watched the Malcolm Tucker stuff. I'm like, what boring, long speeches was he talking about? Because there wasn't a lot of boringness. No. But, yeah, you can watch, like, the best of his from in the thick of it, and I think there's a sequel to that, too.
Well, there's the movie.
Yeah, well, that's
loop.
the follow-up, yeah.
It's actually like in the middle. And it's not really connected to the series.
No.
He plays the same guy.
I mean, they call it a sequel, but yeah.
He plays Malcolm Tucker, but like everyone else is in it, but in like different roles.
They kind of basically say he's Rahm Emanuel. Is kind of how they compared him to. Although Rahm's been pretty quiet since he took over here, but well, he hasn't gone. I give Mayor Daley credit. He might not have been doing a great job near the end because he was going nuts, but his speeches were hilarious. His press conferences were awesome. So, Sarah, do you like the idea of the older Doctor then?
Yes, very much so.
Do you think he'll be a different storyteller? I mean, like, have his own way of being a different storyteller? Because it seems like some of the Doctors, like, seem to correlate with each other, like certain Doctors.
Oh, you see parts of them in the next one, kind of?
Yeah.
Well, I think you're always going to get that a little bit, because, I mean, it is the same person. I mean, the personality changes slightly, or, the personality changed, but, but the sense of right and wrong and the sense of everything kind of carries through, so I don't know.
I just would like to see them not... I don't know how to put this exactly. Like, I kept hearing...
Don't ruin it?
Like, no, at when I was at Comic-Con and I went to one of the Doctor Who panels, they were talking about, like all these people, like, well, it'll be good to have him because he'll be more, in charge and more serious, and he'll be a good... And I was like,
but they're basing that off his other characters.
I really hope they don't do that, because he's older. I'm like, but the Doctor is still the same age. So he doesn't have to be like...
Yeah, he's not really older.
Yeah, the Doctor himself isn't getting older. He's just looking older. I would really like to see them...
He's looking more distinguished.
Yes.
I'm curious as to if they're going to change the regeneration effect.
I kind of want to, because I'm...
But I mean, can you?
Because, like...
I mean, the new series is kind of established. This is how Time Lords regenerate. I mean, can you really...
But if we're taking it
I want to see the old school fade out and fade in that they did between Troughton and Hartnell. That's my...
I'm curious about, like, we saw, was it the 4th Doctor change into the 5th Doctor earlier?
With the help of the White Guardian, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I saw...
Every Doctor up until, I think, the new series regenerated in a different way. Which was bizarre.
I think that's great, though. Because it's different. It's unique.
Well, the Time Lords like changing things up.
They do. But
interesting thing about Peter Capaldi is one of the last roles he played a World Health Organization doctor in World Z. A WHO doctor? Which is quite funny when you know...
Which is really funny when I saw that movie and they put up...
Peter Capaldi as the doctor?
No, they put it was before he was announced as the Doctor. They put up World Health Organization, and the World Health Organization they were going to was in Cardiff. And I was sitting there, and I'm like, "Who in Cardiff?" Like, that's really funny. And then afterwards, when he became the Doctor, I'm like, so he played a WHO doctor in Cardiff, and now.
And quite honestly, they used to credit them as Doctor Who in the older series.
But I thought of that like before he was announced. It's just my brain went WHO. My brain's just hardwired to go there now.
I know.
Well, 17 episodes of podcasts and numerous episodes of whatever else shows you've watched and countless conversations we've had over the last 3 years, and I mean, I've pretty much have kicked out anything important in life in my mind and refilled it with Doctor Who facts, which usually I get wrong anyway because I don't get to sleep anymore.
Oh, Izzy.
Oh, Isabella. So Sarah, what direction do you want him to go though? Do you think he should be like more serious and stern? I mean, I don't think so. I'd like to see him be more not comedic. I'd like to see him almost be like Sylvester McCoy's Doctor. Where he was lighthearted, but there was that seriousness there too. Sarah, you there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm here.
Well, because we're used to having Skype problems. That's why.
I know.
And now with a different laptop that's 10 years old.
No, I want to see him not be stoic but not crazy either, because Matt Smith is kind of gloriously nuts.
Yeah, he's kind of certifiably insane the way he plays the Doctor a lot.
Yeah. So I definitely want to see him fun, but in a different way.
I want to see him play the spoons. I'm glad they're showing homage to the classic series in the last series, or how they did, and how they probably are going to do in the 50th. Because we were talking earlier, and I had started watching the Psychic Circus, and there's a scene where Ace is looking for her rucksack, as they call it, and she comes crawling out of like the TARDIS closet or something with like Tom Baker's scarf on. It's just like a split-second scene. And I remember like all the old classic, like the classic series, somewhere along the line in one episode of a season, you would get something little like that. There'd be some little reference where you're going, oh.
I think that's the one too where she comes out at one point and has like one of like Mel's old hideous-looking jackets
or
too.
tops or something.
Yeah,
It's like the blue and white polka dotty thing that they were so distinctive you can't miss them.
Well, I mean, you had Mel's wearing that, and then you had Colin Baker wearing that atrocity of a suit. Oh, and you know what's funny, Sarah? We were just watching the Colin Baker episode with Santarans in it, which I didn't even realize they had Santarans in the 80s episodes. But as bad as that suit coat was, he took it off. The vest that was under it was even worse. Like, they pushed Sony Trinitron color TVs to the limit in 1986 with what they put on them.
Oh.
And I mentioned how... Did you watch any of the Doctors Revisited they were showing? Where they talk about... Okay, well, they talk about the Doctor's eras.
Right.
Yeah. Well, they talk about the eras of the Doctor, and generally it's complimentary. But the Sixth Doctor one was odd because you could tell they were trying to kind of find something nice to say, about the stories, or like they're like, oh, that coat, it was such a bold fashion bold. That's one way of putting it.
Yeah.
Coat of
Yeah.
colors.
I almost wish there was a way to do like a what not to wear with that doctor. Like Stacey and Clinton are like, no.
No.
Then he goes in back and comes out dressed as Napoleon, like Sylvester McCoy did or something. No.
And he regenerates every time.
I would almost like to see Capaldi, when he regenerates, not regenerate into him, but like walk into another room like Romana did, going to Romana 2, and just walk out like 5 different times as different people, and then come out as him.
As you said before, the doctor has always made comments on their appearance.
Yeah, I'm curious what he's going to say, because he's going to look older. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there was somebody that was complaining about it on Facebook, and that's why I wrote that long listen, if you're a fan of the show, these are things you should probably know at this point. You should have picked up along the way, at least. But I go, somebody made the comment, actually, I think Sarah read mine and I read yours, actually. But, because we had a lot of the same points. And I go, the comment was, well, isn't the point of the show he's supposed to get younger?
No.
I'm like, so what, he's going to be like an 8-year-old at some point running around in like a cricket outfit? What? No. I mean, how much, he's going to be a fetus flying the TARDIS from like a... Like one of those things in Futurama that they put the heads in.
When Matt Smith was originally cast, my best friend asked me, does this mean when he becomes the 13th Doctor, he's going to be 13?
Oh.
It's like the movie Big. By the end of the first episode, he's an adult again.
Yeah,
I'm actually excited for the 50th and to see Capaldi. I want to see where he's going to take it. Because I've seen some of his acting, and to me, it didn't look bad at all. And, I mean, I'm very surprised.
I'm really excited. I've also heard the rumor on Facebook saying that there's a chance...
Well, if it's on the internet, it must be true, because you can't lie on the internet.
No, I know, but I'm saying that there's a slight chance of the Doctor regenerating in the 50th anniversary special.
Well, did they ever say that Matt Smith was going to be in the whole Christmas special?
No. I don't think...
Yeah,
Right?
I've wondered if...
Because, I mean, they made this huge announcement about Peter Capaldi. Like, you're going to see him in the Christmas episode. So it's like, it better not be 2 seconds at the end after he regenerates. Because after all this, I will fly to England, knock on someone's door, and hit them.
Can I go?
And just fly home. Like, just get out of the taxi. You Stephen Moffat? Yeah. Dunk. Walk back to the taxi, go back to the airport.
Can you get tickets for Nicole and I to go with you?
Are you going to bail me out of jail after I do it?
We're going to be like Thursday around London and getting called Joanna.
They're going to be in a pub and look up and be like, "Hey, I know that guy."
Yes.
Stephen Moffat assaulted by fan.
Just make sure you take video.
In this day and age, come on.
Yes.
Have you ever been? Every picture I have of England has like a camera on a street post somewhere.
Yeah.
But
Because I have a feeling that they didn't say which Doctor is going to regenerate.
well, I said wouldn't it be interesting if John Hurt regenerated into Peter Capaldi, and somehow like you had like now this big mess of, oops, what did we do? Or maybe David Tennant and Matt Smith could be the Valeyard. No, too complicated. Too old school. No one remembers that guy. No,
I remember the value.
because he technically was like the 13th Doctor or 14th Doctor. I mean, they say it in that episode. He's like the 5th. What was 15th? It was something like between. He was like something
around
and a
the
half. Some
13th,
bizarre.
It was,
You didn't see because it's a 6th Doctor episode.
I haven't seen him.
Well, you saw the end of the 2 Doctors upstairs.
Yeah, I saw the end of the 2 Doctors, but that's...
Which really wasn't as horrible as I thought it was going to be.
No, but the problem with me is, like, I only have seen... I've seen the 5th Doctor a few times.
And whatever episodes we tell you to watch.
Yeah, I mean, like...
Whatever's on Netflix.
No.
Oh, well, you have it, yeah.
Yeah, I have it, but because of Mary Jo. I've seen the 6th, 7th Doctor, and the 5th
As the feds close in on her now.
Oops. Sorry, Mom.
But yeah, I'm excited for. I actually want to skip straight to the 8th season. just start with Capaldi and Jenna. I want to see what Jenna Coleman's reaction is going to be as a character.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, anybody else want to see what she's going to do when Matt Smith turns into this guy?
Yeah. Oh,
it doesn't it feel like Matt Smith is already gone?
You know what I would do?
Like with all of this, I'm like,
as much as people don't like kissing in Doctor Who, I would have like she thinks that Matt Smith is dying, and she professes her love for him and starts making out with, or like kissing him as he dies. But then he turns into Capaldi, and she's like, or what? Like what like David Tennant's 2 season finales.
Oh, his mini season finales. At that point,
I didn't mind Tennant so much as Rose. And then she's back again.
but
Don't get me wrong, I like looking at Billie Piper as much as the next guy, but how are you bringing her back?
I don't know, but I think they're gonna probably get the 10th Doctor along another timeline at one
The
point.
5th?
10th Doctor.
Oh, 10th, yeah.
10 along another timeline.
Well, there was a rumor that the Tennant's Doctor is not going to be that it's that it's the not real Doctor.
I don't think so.
But why would you do that? That would
Yeah.
make like no sense.
I mean, like, he's not really a timeline at that point.
Well, because then you're bringing Rose back from the alternate universe again. That would be the...
Maybe they all get stuck in E-space. No? They all go to they all go to Logopolis? No? Okay, that's a reference. That's a reference I think one person might get that listens to us. And it's also the sound of people switching iPods off all around America now.
I'm trying to think of
After that
anyone.
reference.
I'm just so tired of Rose coming back from the sealed off universe that
Well,
she
how
could
many-
never get back.
How many times did she come back total?
A lot.
A lot is not a number.
Too many.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, really,
No,
I
she
think it
came
was
back
just
once.
once.
It was
but
once.
she kept popping in there as like
Well, yeah, but
during
that was
the
all.
season.
But that was all part of that. Yeah,
And then it was
that was
like
all
you
part
had
of the
this
Donna
big
season.
final ending. It was like she's sealed in this universe. You can never see her again. And then it's like poof, back. Hi.
Well, they used to jump between universes all the time, though. Well, not all the time, but I mean, it was possible. Like I said,
Yeah.
E-Space. I mean, it's
Yeah,
possible.
but then-
in fact, if they go back to E-Space, maybe they'll find Romana. Because in the TV series, you never
Yeah.
heard what happened to her. She stayed there. In the books and Big Finish Audio, she became president of Gallifrey.
That I would be.
I would love
Fine
to
with
see
that,
Romana. I'd
but-
love to see another Romana 3. She was the first time. She was the first. She had her own sonic screwdriver. She was the only other person I think on the show. Well, no, the Master had one, I think.
Sarah Jane Smith had it. Sonic lipstick.
Not in the show. Not in the old Tom Baker episodes.
I know in the Sarah Jane
In her,
Smith.
yeah, well, yeah. That's not canon. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't care. It was good. It was fun to
Sonic
watch.
lipstick. Well, River Song had lipstick that worked magic too.
But it was different.
she also had a sonic screwdriver.
Uh-huh.
Which I'm happy to say I finally got myself a full-size sonic screwdriver.
Yay.
Woo.
Izzy
We saw
has.
And Izzy has my little, my half-size one that's a flashlight. And when I hit the button on mine, so it lights up and makes noise, as people can't see me doing it with my hand right now, she comes walking over and hits mine with hers. Which is really cute.
She was all smiles.
And I say, "Where's your Sonic?" And she starts looking around. Like she knows she's supposed to be looking for something, but she's not quite sure what. Sometimes I think still.
But it was funny.
And I also, we had Chicago's Wizard World this past weekend, Sarah.
Yep.
And a lot of people hate Wizard World, but you know what? Whatever, it was awesome. Bite me. But that should lose us some listeners. But I bought these prints. It's the first Doctor, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. No, the sixth. Up to the sixth. And they look like comic book covers. They're really well done, and they're done on metal. They're done like on thin pieces of sheet metal. They look so cool. Like, I don't know how the guy transferred it, but it looked really neat.
Yeah.
I mean, they look really sharp.
Yeah. And the edges are a little on the sharp side.
Yes.
What the odd part is, and I said this upstairs, and Nicole was like, "Yeah, you're right." When he put them in the bags, he put boards with them. I'm like, "But they're metal.
Yeah.
They're not gonna." Okay,
The metal's probably stronger than the cardboard.
probably by a lot.
But, that reminds me, I didn't tell you, at John Barrowman's panel, his parents were there.
I met his parents.
He brought them on the stage.
Really?
And as soon as they open their mouth, you go, I see how John Barrowman became John Barrowman.
Yes. His parents are awesome. At the reading that they had for his book, oh gosh, can't remember the name of the book, but his parents were there and they were so cute.
I believe it was I Barrowman.
No,
No.
it's like the book that he wrote. It's his.
That was
Carol.
what was the Wozniak's book? Was I Was, right?
So, it was.
I Barrowman by John Barrowman. Actually, it'd be more like Barrowman because he's always like that guy. I wanted to see him so bad, and I had I can't say what I had because I don't know if that person listens to us. Let's just say I couldn't make it, and I was pissed.
His
because
parents,
I heard he's hilarious to watch.
And he switches, which is so amazing to hear him. Like, he'll be speaking with his American accent, and then sometimes people were asking questions for his parents, and sometimes he needed to pass it on to them, and then he would repeat it with the Scottish accent.
Well,
It was like he was translating from American to Scottish for them. It was great. It was like...
Well, he grew up right near here in Aurora or Joliet or something.
Yeah, I think...
Right?
Yeah.
One of the two.
I think he was in both, he said.
Yeah. Well, I think
Aurora
Aurora is
and
definitely a
Joliet.
step up from Joliet, and there go those listeners. So I'm sure anybody in Joliet watches Doctor Who.
Actually, one of my...
Maybe the prison, they might watch it.
Here's my connection to John Barrowman. One of the choir instructors in Maine South taught him when he was in high school, and he
No kidding.
no, seriously, because in his autobiography, I heard, like, I was reading it. Carol lent me the book, and I was reading it, and the name was like so random, and like it's not a common name.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at it, I'm like, I know that book, I know that name.
Oh wow.
And so I was like, awesome.
My connection to anybody Doctor Who related is I've talked to Sarah, and she wrote for a book.
That's
Right?
That's cool too.
Yep.
That's my claim to Doctor.
It was Hollow Earth that he wrote with his sister Nicole. Not Nicole.
See, I've talked to
Cheryl.
Sarah, and Sarah's talked to other writers. So it's got like 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. It's 7 degrees of Sarah.
That's even cooler.
When you
Well, you talked to Peter Davison.
I did, and he was great. I wish he was my father.
I talked to Peter Purvis about teaching.
He wasn't really a teacher, was he?
Yeah.
Oh, he was?
He was.
I'm like, wait a minute. I always thought his name looked like Peter Purves, so I always thought maybe that... I'm like, yeah, that might work against you.
Yeah. No, he was a math teacher.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we were talking about teaching compared to acting, and
I'm guessing teaching's harder.
well, what we were agreeing on was that you're performing when you're teaching too. You
Yeah.
have an audience, you have to perform. So
true.
there's actually a lot in common with. Because he said that during his panel, and the
And
moderator
directors
was.
can act like little kids at times.
But the moderator was like, didn't see it. So I was talking to him afterwards, like, no, I agree with you. You're performing to a captive audience that you have to keep entertained. And you have to pass along knowledge somehow with that, too.
I'm trying to find a way to segue back to Peter Capaldi without making it completely bluntly obvious like last week.
Peter.
Oh, yeah,
Speaking
Peter.
of
Speaking of
Peters.
Peters, in case you didn't hear earlier, Peter Capaldi is the 12th Doctor.
Woohoo!
I don't know. I'm just curious to see how he's going to play it. He might just be one of the... Because he grew up watching it.
Yeah.
Did you see he wrote a letter to, was it Doctor Who Magazine or something? Or, no, Radio Times about the show. Mm-hmm. And interesting side note is when he was in college or in art school, he was the lead singer in a punk rock band.
Yes.
Whose drummer was Colin Ferguson. And they're like best buds.
Craig
Ferguson. Damn it, I always say Colin. I love Craig Ferguson, too, and I always get the name wrong. But they're like best buds, and he's been on Ferguson's show before. And Ferguson's a huge Doctor Who fan. So I can't wait to see the first time he's on that show again, because it's gonna be great. I think he's just gonna clear the schedule and be like, it's just Peter.
You know what? I would love to see Craig Ferguson on Doctor Who.
You know what? He should be the new master.
He would be great.
I think Craig Ferguson as the new master alongside his good buddy Peter Capaldi would be hilarious.
That would be funny.
And and from his name, you all can tell he's a good Scottish guy.
He's funny as all hell.
Actually, Capaldi was pretty funny in the little interviews I've seen with him. He seems like he's going to be all right.
I'm excited.
His normal personality seems almost like he could be, like halfway there. And I loved when they asked him, about being the Doctor or whatever. He goes, well, you know what? I look in the mirror and I don't quite see him there yet. But I know he's in there trying to look back at me, and by the time we start filming, I'll have it. And I'm like, that's really, that's really, not like, yeah, hell yeah, I've been practicing my whole life,
No, because, I don't think anyone can be practicing their whole life. Like, David Tennant.
You saw me walking around upstairs with a sonic screwdriver zapping my daughter. Obviously, I've been practicing.
But
Damn American citizenship.
But, like, David Tennant is a fanboy. John Barrowman is a fanboy. I mean, I love the fact that these guys are just delighted to be a part of Doctor Who, because
I think it makes them fit better. I think they have fun with it then, and
the fans appreciate it.
Like, as much as I did enjoy Eccleston because it was returned as Doctor Who, and there were some really good episodes, and he's not a bad actor. I mean, I don't think he's, Sean Connery, but who is? No, I don't think he's a bad actor or anything, but when it was Tennant, who was a genuine fan of the show, there was just something different there. Like, you saw something more, it was more natural almost, or something. It just seemed to... I think it comes out in the actors.
Yeah, it does.
And, like, when Matt Smith said his favorite Doctor has been the second one because he went back and watched them, I mean, it shows in his performance. He's watched numerous ones, I'm sure. And
I think that's great because it proves to, like, us that he respects who Doctor Who
unlike most of the fans.
Pardon?
Unlike most of the fans.
A lot of people are just... We'll give him a lot of... Like,
wait till you see him. Wait till you see a couple episodes.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Also, my thought is, what? A lot of our Chicago fans, like, that you met at the photo shoot. They're right?
Looks like we need the last 15 members of our audience still listening.
Your fans that are, like, we've gone to the photo shoots with.
Yeah, they're good. They're good people.
And they're going to give it a shot because
they know. Because they're true fans of the show.
I mean, like, even, like, they're new Who fans, they're true fans of the show because they realize this happens.
Yeah.
I think you could go back to, like, the Doctor Who wiki and you could just learn all about it. Mm-hmm. About the Doctor, the Master, the companions.
Yeah, I don't think people give new Who fans enough credit because there's this thing that's been around a couple of years called the Internet. And I think a lot of new Who fans have gone after watching Matt Smith or David Tennant and looked up stuff about the show. Because you see people cosplaying as the first and second Doctor that are like 20 years old. Obviously, they didn't grow up watching it, so they had to go back and look into it. And I think Sarah just fell asleep.
I'm still here.
Good.
You're so much more quiet than last time. Come on, step it up a notch. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not caffeinated or wined enough.
Oh, that's the difference. We've all had a beer. We're going to just roll this into an episode of my Beer Show podcast. But no, I like one of the things I hated seeing on the internet was, well, why would you cast a guy that's already been in the show? He's been in Torchwood. Every time I see him, I'll think of that. Really? Because Colin Baker was hunting down Peter Davison's Doctor and then became the Doctor like a year later. Mm-hmm. And Lala Ward, who was Romana, who was like the most loved Romana out of the two and was on the show for a long time, played a princess in the episode before she became her. And, I mean, it's not like it's not been done. Who as impossible as this would have been, and it's kind of horrible, I think it would have been hilarious if the new Doctor was the guy that played Onslow in Keeping Up Appearances. Like with the trucker hat and the Dago tee. He's just walking around with like a pub can of beer. He's got like a recliner by the TARDIS console. Just like, he's the average man's Doctor.
With a beer gut and everything.
The beer gut hanging out and everything.
Oh. Oh, he's... Oh.
Every episode of TARDIS materializes in a liquor store on a different planet. I don't know. I'm curious as to what the stories are going to be. Are we going to see Daleks right away? Cybermen, Santarans, my.
No, I hope not.
Something new.
Well, the Daleks are going to be in the 50th. I mean, I'm sorry, you had to have them in there. I mean, they're almost as old as the show. I think they were the second episode.
Yeah. Second.
Yeah.
I mean, and even back then, and it's funny. Like you watch them through the years, and they've changed, but they're basically what they were the whole time. Not like the Cybermen that went through this drastic change and became all Art Deco, or the Santarans didn't change much, but somehow they shrunk about 1.5 feet.
And they
apparently the cloning vats went
Did their
wacky.
faces get wider?
No, I think the faces were wider on the old ones.
No, because I'm thinking about Strax. he looks like he's...
And I think that was pretty similar, but Strax's face actually looks almost pleasing compared to the old ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Have we ever seen a Rutan on the show?
Yeah. In horror Fang Rock.
Say that again.
The horror of
Okay.
Fang Rock.
Because I swear to God, and I'll probably have to cut this, did anybody else think that it sounded like she said the horror of Fang Rock? I think Sarah thought so too, because she started laughing before I even said
Not
it.
until you asked her to repeat it.
And then you're like, oh, because you said it so slowly. I'm
I
like,
was trying.
what?
I always get the name wrong after horror.
there was
I'm
a
like
routine.
the horror. What does that go into?
The horror of Fang Rock was a Doctor Who parody. But that was an unofficial one. That was... that was like almost hilarious sounding. Like it sounds like it could be a BBC episode from like some medieval like show.
It's the fanfic.
Someone has a plot bunny.
A what?
A plot bunny.
No.
I don't know what that is.
Don't worry. I think Bernal knows.
Anybody disappointed it's not a woman?
Nope.
I don't know.
What's great is
I'm not.
2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row, we've had two guests. We've had Amanda last week and now Sarah, and both of them, when I asked that question, no, not even finishing the question. No. I think Amanda said it before I even finished it. I'm like, would you want a woman? No. Okay.
3 weeks ago.
That was 3 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
When we recorded that one?
No, like 2 weeks.
What was our last episode? No, it was 3, because we had Wizard World gotten away of recording this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
But still, it was the funniest and quickest answer I think I've ever gotten in my life from anybody. I think Joanna took longer to say she'd marry me. You want a woman doctor? No. Would you marry me? Anybody, yeah, I think I just think they should introduce another woman Time Lord again.
I think it should be
I
done
don't see why
differently.
not.
I mean, like...
Give her her own show.
Exactly. It needs to be done...
Because otherwise she's going to have to live up to 50 years of, what happened already. And that's going to be tough to do.
It would be tough for anyone to do. I mean, Peter Capaldi has some really massive shoes to fill. I mean, like, with all his predecessors before him.
Let's not get carried away. But at least 10 of them, 11 of them.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about...
There were a couple.
We're talking about Matt Smith, David Tennant, Chris Eccleston, the Eighth Doctor...
Paul McGann.
What was great was he's got some big shoes to fill, like the Eighth Doctor.
Paul McGann. Then you have,
the Sixth
good
Doctor.
Lord. Sylvester.
McCoy. I think what they should do, just like as a joke almost, is when he's trying to find something to wear, he walks out in the Sixth Doctor suit.
Oh no!
And then Jenna Coleman's like, no.
Please no.
Well,
I want her to put on sunglasses when she sees it. That's loud.
yeah, that would be hilarious too. You know she goes by Jenna Coleman now. She dropped the Louise.
Really?
Yeah, I saw
Sure,
that.
because she was an established actress. She's been in soap operas and stuff there. She's been around a while. Mm-hmm. And now she just goes by Jenna Coleman. I really like her. I just really liked her character. She didn't annoy me at all. Where Rose, after about a year and a half, I was like, all right. And Amy got real preachy and oh well, Amy, you're all 33 years old and he's 1,000 years old. I'm sure you know best for the universe. I like Donna. Donna didn't really annoy me, and neither did Freema, or not Freema, but whatever.
Martha.
Martha. Mm-hmm. Martha didn't really annoy me, but man, I really started off liking Amy in the beginning, and then by the end, I was just not a fan anymore. I didn't despise her or anything, but
you know what? I think it's a good time when you start not liking them. It's a good time for them to. I think it's when they want to go too.
Well, I think they should have just. I think part of the reason I started not to like her was in season 6, she was different than season 7, and when they ended it in season 6, where he leaves them in their house and they got the car and all that. Mm-hmm. If they had just ended it there and that was the farewell, I would have been happy.
I think a lot of people.
But then bringing it back to where they're having marital problems. She's like this Uber word I can't say on our podcast because we try keeping it PG. And,
Uber Witch.
Uber Witch. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It sounds like an ice cream company like Oberweis. Uber Witch. Oberweis' competitor. But, she just... she just was, I don't know, I didn't care for it. I was like other companions have, like, gotten to the point where they said it's not fun anymore, but she wasn't saying that. She was just not, I don't know. It just, they should have just left it the way it was. I would have been fine with it. Mm-hmm. And I think then I wouldn't have had, like, this, like, because it was almost like Rose coming back. Because it's like, all right, oh, what a happy ending. They have a car and a house, and they're happy, and everything's good, and then all of a sudden they're back, and they're miserable, and you're like, well, what happened? Because the Palm Life things didn't show what happened. There was no inkling of, any of that. So I wasn't a fan of that. I wasn't a fan that they were kind of part-time companions. Like where he'd go and pick them up and come back and go. I didn't like that either. So, I mean, they do that with Jenna Coleman, but I can get past it. So far, she hasn't bothered me.
But I think also...
I love how they tied her character to the Dalek character. I love how they wrapped up the season. I thought they did such a good job with that.
Oh, yes.
How about you, Sarah? What did you think of that? As a writer. Which I probably asked you this question last time. It's the beer talking.
I thought it was maybe a tiny bit too convoluted as a plot point, but I still loved it, so I can completely ignore that.
Yeah, I don't think there was any way they could have explained it any better than that, though, either. Like, I mean, how would you... Because there was, there were two Claras before her. There was the Christmas one, and then there was the Dalek one. Mm-hmm. So unless they were, it was some clone or something. I mean, I will say that the overall, it might have got a little convoluted for a little bit, but I don't think they really could have did it any other way, and I was pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I thought it worked.
And being able to cut her into the footage with the other doctors or having people that look kind of like them to do. I mean, it was neat.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot wait to see like the making of the new Doctor Who movie. Like
the documentary?
Pardon?
The documentary, you mean?
The docu... It's not...
Docudrama?
Yeah. That's going to be nice to see, so...
Yeah. I would... Anybody want to see Peter Capaldi wear ruffles like John Pertwee?
No.
That was a better outfit than the Sixth Doctor.
Yeah.
No kidding.
The Swinging 60s had a better swing... Well, it was the 70s when he took over.
Yeah.
But they called it the Swinging 60s when you read descriptions. I'm like, but it was 1973 or 2. But that outfit was better than the Sixth Doctor.
That also was more distinguished looking.
Well, I think Pertwee pulled it off, though.
Yeah.
No, because he has
I want to see... I'd like to see Capaldi a little more like Pertwee, like where he's a little more physical. Not like, getting in a cage match with somebody, but,
swashbuckling.
Oh, I
yeah, a little bit of swashbuckling be nice here and there.
Have you seen all this stuff? Like, I've seen stuff, too, where people are talking about, like, how is he going to do it? He's 55. He won't be able to make it through the season. It's so demanding.
Harrison Ford and Bruce Willis make action movies. They're like 60-something. Well, I mean, how old was Pertwee when he took? He was in his almost 50.
Yeah, he was around 50.
In his late 40s.
Yeah.
And he was flying around like, I mean...
The newsy and keto.
First off, the British men seem to be able to be physical like that a lot. What's his name from Iron Maiden? The lead singer jumps around on stage like he's a 19-year-old, and he fences. See, Bruce Dickinson should have been the Doctor.
I've seen things where people are like, he's too old to take on the role because physically he won't be able to do it. I'm like, I don't think if that was a concern they would have hired him.
It's not 1940 anymore. People now in their 40s and 50s and even 60s are just as active, as people in their 30s for the most part, unless they're lazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be horrible. I'm lazy now.
Even William Hartnell was 55 when he got hired.
God, didn't he look older? Like, you look at Capaldi and you look at Hartnell, you're like, they're the same age.
But
wow.
he filmed year-round practically then. They only got like a few weeks off.
Yeah,
and he was certainly not in good health. So
no, and by the end of that
if he could make it.
Whichever guy on the show came up with having him turn into Patrick Troughton is the biggest genius in TV history.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, straight up, that's because I introduced a friend at work, buddy of mine, Ben, to Doctor Who. And he's a big Game of Thrones fan now because this other guy and him always talked about it. And he goes, "Oh, what are you watching?" I go, "It's Doctor Who." He goes, "Oh, what's that about? I've heard about it." I'm like, well, he could pretty much travel anywhere in time and space. And I started talking about it. He goes, No, I'm going to watch it. You hooked me with that. He goes, because it's a brilliant concept for a show because you can never run out of ideas because you can make up anything you want because physics on Earth might not be physics in a far, far, far away galaxy. So he started watching, and he's like, whoever came up with the idea of the regeneration and then the fact that they can go anywhere, those are the two biggest geniuses in TV history. And he's right. I mean, the show can continuously go on. You can switch out companions. You can switch out doctors. The only thing that stays the same is outside of TARDIS. And that even changes a little bit. So,
Yeah.
But I'm pretty... Now I can't wait for the 50th to be... I can't wait for the 50th because I just want to get to Christmas to see Capaldi. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. It's almost like you said earlier. It's almost like Matt Smith's already gone.
Yeah.
Like people... unless it's a Matt Smith fanboy, you don't even see anybody saying anything about him anymore.
Yeah, it's like... But I do tend to wonder if he's going to regenerate in the 50th. That seems too tempting.
Right, but would he... I believe they said he was in the Christmas special, though. But that doesn't mean... he could be a flashback.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to really be acting
Or
in
he could be in the very, very beginning.
Like when they
and
show what happened at the
change.
end of the last
Yeah.
episode? Just the regeneration scene?
Like he's on the verge of regenerating at the end of the 50th, and they go into Christmas, and...
I want to know what Capaldi's going to say when his first words as the Doctor. like Colin Baker was, it's time for change and not a moment too soon. Which, man, did that bite John Nathan Turner in the ass. And, everybody had, like, some, So I'm curious as to what he's going to say. I'm curious as to how they're going to... there's a lot of things I'm curious about, and I'm kind of happy about it. And there's been no real leaks about anything. A rumor has it McGann's going to be in the 50th as maybe a regeneration sequence or something, but it's just a rumor.
I just heard about the McGann could be in it.
McGann could have really been in it for the duration. I mean, he's aged pretty well. He doesn't look too far off from where he was 10 years ago or 13 years ago, right? It was not 20 because it was 1996.
Yeah.
My girl
So it was 16 years ago.
Like 18.
Right.
Because,
but he's still... if you look at him now, I mean, he doesn't look that far off.
Yeah.
He's like 17, 18 years
I mean, Christ, they put Patrick Troughton next to Colin Baker in an episode. It was like 20 years after he'd done it, if not 30. And I think Troughton was he did pretty well, too.
I still think McCoy looks pretty good for his...
When he's cleaned up and he's in, TV mode, yeah, he looks okay. When we saw him at the convention, he kind of looked like, what you'd expect a guy his age to look like. But he was delightful.
But the way his costume is,
Yeah,
I'm
it
not
covers
saying
a
they're
lot.
going to bring him back, but technically he has with the hat and all that, it's kind of a...
Well, Davison had a hat, too. I mean, he didn't always wear it, but he had a hat, too. I mean, so, you could cover the baldness up.
Or you could...
Colin Baker, on the other hand, looks nothing like
Nothing
he did
would
back
make
then.
him look...
Even he
no.
said it. He's like, nothing they do is going to make me
Yeah.
look near what I did then.
We have 97 days until the 50th.
I know, I have 97 days to finish my companion and Doctor Profiles.
You'll get it done.
I hope. Right now, who did I leave off on? Adric, the Wesley Crusher of Doctor Who. Don't tap the mic stand. do you not hear it while you're doing it? You're like, I hear tick, tick. I'm staring right at you. I'm like, don't tap the mic stand. And you're like, tick, 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 tick. And you slowly move and start tapping the table.
It's very talkative at this point.
But no, it's going to be good. I'm glad everybody... I mean, it seems like we're all kind of on the same page. We're happy it's an older Doctor. We're kind of happy with the choice. We'll see how he plays it. I'm curious as to, stylistically, what they're going to put him in, what he's going to,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Should be...
I'm hoping for a fedora.
Ooh.
Well, somebody did a
That would be
Photoshop
good.
job with, a long blue scarf. But, no, let's leave the scarf. I mean, you can bring back... you know what I want to see? I want to see question marks on part of the outfit somewhere. Let's start it with Tom Baker with the collars on the
Yeah.
shirt. They had question marks, which I thought was kind of neat.
I thought it was the 5th Doctor that had the question mark.
Yeah, he did too.
Okay.
And then they all had it after midway through. I want to say midway through Tom Baker's run when John Nathan Turner took over.
Yeah,
he put him on the costume. Because they changed Baker's costume a little bit. He still had the scarf, but the clothes under it were all different.
Okay.
They made the scarf lighter
Yeah, they did.
because the costume designer was at Galley, and she was talking
Yeah.
about that it was too heavy, so she made it of a new material.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I would imagine that scarf is quite heavy.
It was only 40 feet long,
Oh, good lord.
right? 10. Yeah, it was like 30-some feet.
It's a long, long, long scarf.
I said when my mom started watching him, she was like, "I'm worried he's gonna trip." That
Well,
scarf.
and I believe he did at times.
was like, yeah, it does seem to be dangerously underfoot.
I think I'm more excited for this change than I was from David Tennant to Matt Smith.
I don't remember how I felt because I think I was kind of.
I saw Matt Smith, and I was kind of like, okay. I'm like, he played a customer of Billy Piper's on It's a Secret Diary of a Call Girl. And he was kind of a stalker in that. But I remember, like, I wasn't excited at all for Eccleston changing the Tennant. I was pissed. Because I liked Tennant, or Eccleston, because he was, like, very contemporary, like, how he looked and stuff. He didn't, like, he'd fit in, like, 1960. Or 1950, or any decade, where, like, Colin Baker and Perry were not going to fit in
Anywhere? Where would Colin Baker fit in?
You know what?
The circus?
No, wait, you know what? So he should have been in the Psychic Circus episode? I think I think what they should have did is they should have, I think the reason no one noticed was the TARDIS has a perception filter. Along with translating for you, it makes you look different. No?
Or it just makes you not
I don't think anything could camouflage that coat.
Black and white TV couldn't camouflage that coat, because that's what I used to watch it on when I was little. I'd recorded on my VCR, which was color, but I had it hooked to a black and white TV. I think it was like a year after I started watching his that I put it in like the big TV, and I'm like, what in the hell is he wearing? But I think we've pretty much derailed and lost track of that, but generally we're all pretty pleased.
We keep going back to Colin Baker.
Because we just don't want him to have that coat.
Oh, the coat of many colors.
I think it's great that we don't actually ever have a consensus, or we don't have a consensus. Bleh. Does anybody know how to say that word?
Consensus?
Because believe me, I'm not drunk. I had a beer, but I cannot say that word anyway.
Consensus.
But yeah, we don't get those that often. But this time it seems like that we do, and we're all excited.